Hey, so welcome to Grand Rapids Labels video blog series. This is our 20-minute video blog series where we focus on innovation as it applies to the industrial durable label space. My name is Bill Bergstrom. I'm the president of Grand Rapids Label. We're a almost 140-year-old label converter here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And today we're super excited to have Aaron Johnson with us from 3M. Aaron, U.S. and Canada portfolio manager, right, for the durables space in labeling, 5+ years with 3M,
Yep.
right? And again, for the listener, if you haven't seen these before, again, what we're talking about here is innovation as it applies to industrial durable labeling. So we do that by talking about some horizons. We'll unpack a little bit about where we are right now, right, as we continue to come out of the disruption of pandemics and supply chain. Then we'll kind of want to look at what you guys see from 3M's perspective, your personal perspective, Aaron, kind of 1 or 2 years out. And we'll jump to 5 years, look a little further out, and then we'll wrap it up by making sure there's some real strong takeaway for the listener, and make sure if there are good conversations that folks can start having today to prepare themselves for what's coming, that we leave with those nuggets. So again, Aaron, thank you for joining us.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Bill.
Absolutely. So before we kind of get going on the state of the market, or you can kind of flow right into it, a little bit about yourself. Again, the 3M brand is so strong, but certainly share what you're focused on there personally, and then we'll dive right in.
Yeah, no problem. So I've been in the industry for, like you mentioned, a little over 5 years. Have been with 3M the entirety of those 5 years, and previously was in a sales role selling durable labels out on the West Coast. So did that for almost 4, and been here as the U.S. and Canada portfolio manager for a little over a year. So based here in St. Paul, Minnesota at our headquarters. And yeah, I've been working with partners like Grand Rapids Label and your team for a little over a year now. So excited to talk about some of the trends that we're seeing, and looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah. So again, like, what a great time frame, right? You're 5 years, so you predate pandemic, and of course that's for a while. Maybe we can start some of these kind of current state conversations with that bookmark, right? It's still out there, right? And we're still seeing the effects of 2020 through 2022. So why don't we start there, Aaron? Tell us a little bit about the state of the market, the material market, so on and so forth, from 3M's perspective, and kind of what's going on right now.
Yeah, for sure. So it's hard to talk about the state of the market, obviously, without addressing some of the demand and supply chain environment that we've been in. Obviously, it's been highly unique, right? So at the beginning of 2022, we really saw this massive inventory build from a lot of our channel partners, a lot of brand owners, a lot of OEMs. That was kind of on the heels of this massive supply chain volatility that plagued our market in 2020 and 2021. So as demand slowed down, towards the end of 2022, we found a lot of our partners and a lot of the end users we worked with were holding on to these large amounts of inventory. And we spent a lot of 2023 burning through that. So as you think about a label, right, it's an attractive product to inventory, generally lower unit cost, generally pretty easy to hold on the floor. But also the cost of failure in a label is quite high, right? And we've heard it time and time again, lines down fees caused by a label, and our partners are wanting to stock up an inventory and make sure that that's not happening given the constrained supply chain environment. So we've been working to kind of burn through that so far in 2023. It's a unique situation where we're going to want to make sure that once we're getting out of this, we're going to have that consistent communication with our partners, frequent communication around demand planning. So as demand comes back, the global supply chain isn't caught off guard again. I'd say 3M did a really good job, throughout the pandemic, especially the durable labeling group, of working closely with our partners to deploy resources effectively, because we were able to get those demand plans. So again, just frequency and consistency of communication moving into 2024 is going to be of the utmost importance to make sure that we're continuing to be able to service our customers the way they expect.
I'm glad you brought up how 3M has been able to navigate the last couple of years. Because I would agree with you. You gave yourself a little compliment, and I would second that. I think if we look across our supply chain, and 3M really stood out over the last couple of years with consistency and communication, and consistency surrounding product delivery and in the availability of products that were spec'd in and things of that nature. Not everybody was nearly as seemingly prepared as 3M. Maybe let's talk a little bit about that. Maybe it even kind of flows into what's coming in the next couple of years. But first of all, before we get there, are there, when you're having internal conversations, with your colleagues and you're talking strategy, are there a couple of lessons over the last couple of years that you could share that 3M is really trying to hang their hat on going forward from again, maybe a customer management standpoint or even communications, whatever it is? Are there a couple of key ones that you guys talk about?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that we notice is, because of the breadth of 3M, we have feet on the street all, globally, right? So we have an abundance of sales reps and inside teams that can work really closely with our partners. And our strongest partnerships were the ones that were able to survive that pandemic the most. So it's, again, just continuing to make sure that those lines of communication between end users, channel partners, and that sales team is strong. And making sure that sales team is relaying that information back to the business, because at the end of the day, this is a giant game of telephone that we need to all play successfully, and everyone needs to, make sure that those lines of communication are very, very open. So I think for us, it's, continuing to listen to our sales team, continuing to listen to our partners, and just forging those partnerships, stronger than they've ever have been. And I think those partnerships that, made it through the pandemic and made it through this extremely tumultuous environment are the ones that we want to hold on to. And that's, ultimately what makes us better is, leaning on our sales team and leaning on our partners to help us navigate effectively.
Yeah, well, again, we really enjoy our relationship. We're doing some things with you guys this year on some other markets that we're super excited about. But again, compliments to you guys, compliments to you on some product innovation that came out during tumultuous times that we've embraced and had some nice success with. So, again, just really enjoy how 3M conducts their business. So thank you for that. So let's okay, right, so you talk about kind of current state, and there's still some wild stuff. I was telling you a story before we got on about one of our clients and some lessons learned. So yeah, let's maybe move right in, right? You guys sit down again. 3M is an amazing organization with unbelievable resources. What's coming, Aaron? What are we worried about in the next 12 to 24 months? What kind of conversations are you guys having? How does it involve us? What's coming in the next year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that comes to mind kind of on the heels of what I mentioned before is kind of this tentative environment, right? Where customers are moving from this heavily stocked environment to more of a just-in-time inventory. People don't want to have all their cash tied up in inventory anymore. They want to be able to deploy that more effectively for growth. So a lot of what we're doing is, preparing ourselves for more of a just-in-time environment. Obviously, that's driven by, this shift to kind of hybrid and digital technologies that are allowing for less, less materials that you need to bring in, obviously, because if you're going to set up a flexo press for a custom job, that's going to take a lot more material than a digital press. So we've been kind of navigating that environment and, started to offer half master roles that are going to work better for digital press, that, people don't want to buy a full web, they're able to buy less material, which is going to kind of aid with that strategy shift from heavy inventory to just in time. So we're taking a lot of those types of actions to help navigate that environment. That comes with shortening lead times and making sure that, when we say a 2 or 7 day lead time, we really mean it. And I think we've done a fairly good job as we've transitioned to this new program of maintaining that. So that's been one of the biggest things, kind of unrelated to service, unrelated to product. Another thing we're seeing kind of on the short-term time horizon is this pretty big proliferation of, new regulatory specs into applications that maybe didn't have it as much before. So, you think UL 969, right, where that's when we see all day long on all sorts of applications, and we're seeing this, we're seeing that influence start to widen. So it's really important for us to make sure that, we have the right product mix on our UL spec. We're working with our partners to make sure that we have the right inks, the right presses on that UL card, so it's easy to adopt for these new applications. And then, we're also staying close from a regulatory standpoint to our automotive customers who are working to define, what the automotive specs are going to look like in this new automotive electrification environment, while also recognizing in the automotive environment that, hey, we're not necessarily going to be completely moving away from some of those legacy specs. And we're supporting a lot of that work with, testing in our lab, pre-testing to specs of Ford and GM, and making sure that, when you guys take our material, it's going to pass that Ford or GM spec. Yeah. So that's been another big piece for us.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the compliance thing, we would certainly agree with. I mean, let alone like the technical side of it, just the paperwork side of what we're managing, for our clients and connecting the dots, right, from, like the materials we're using from you guys on out to the paper trail that's required, to put that end use product into an OEM or a tier one or so on and so forth. We actually have personnel specifically now managing some of those things. We were always kind of able to ham and egg it in the past, and now it's not possible, right? You're actually putting dedicated talent on, compliance initiatives that are throughout our organization. One thing I want to circle back to, and I'll give you a second here, Aaron. We don't have to be wildly formal on these, and I didn't kind of prep you this, but one of the things you just triggered is, can you expand at all on how you're staying connected to your clients and utilizing things like forecasting, or even connecting EDI wise and so on and so forth with your clients to help manage material flow and inventory management and things like that? Are you diving into those conversations with your end users, or you're shaking your head? Yeah. So I'll be quiet.
Yeah.
You're doing that. Yeah.
100%. I mean, especially the largest and most critical applications. Obviously we sell into the most regulated industries in really the world within durable labels. So I think it's important for, those ties to be really tight, because we just simply cannot afford for certain medical applications to go down. So, that's where it becomes critical for us to lean on our partnerships, right? We don't sell anything direct in our durable label business. So we rely heavily on our partners to, bring us into accounts and make sure that we're having that three-way conversation around what demand's going to look like. And then that gets pulled back to the plant, and obviously we continue to work that upstream with our entire supply chain to make sure it's prepped. But again, kind of goes back to that game of telephone, and the layers. The more layers you can remove from that, the more effective you are in passing off an effective demand plan.
Yeah, we're investing in technology. We've been on the EDI side of things for our end users, right? Yeah. Again, the OEMs and the tiers and so on and so forth. But we're investing in technology that can allow us to tie in that third party and hopefully have that way more streamlined in the future. So you guys are as aware of what's coming for us as we are, so to speak. So that's pretty exciting.
We use a whole suite of different statistical tools, obviously, in modeling to make sure that our demand is tracking with historicals. Yeah. But obviously there's fluctuations that, math and models can't always account for. So that's where it's critical to know, especially in a time of a massive demand spike that's, unexpected because demand's finally coming back. Right. That's where that communication becomes critical.
We can have our AI conversation. We can do a separate video blog for that, right? For sure. How 3M is taking machine learning and applying it to the industrial durable label space, right? So, and maybe, I don't think it does necessarily, but, okay, so, right, we're now play that out, right? We're in this world where we got to stay connected. It's still a little bit, kind of interesting, my word out there with, where we're going to be with inventory and what it's going to look like going forward. We're in automotive, that, pending strike, yada, 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 right? The disruptions are going to keep on coming. So leap forward a little bit further. you know, if I'm a progressive label converter, I'm in the industry. Let's take a few minutes and look 5 years out. What kinds of things, you know, is 3M talking about? What kinds of conversations are you having with your partners, so you can get a jump on what's a little bit further out?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's going to be no surprise to anyone watching this that one of the biggest buzzwords and one of the biggest priorities of the graphics industry is going to be sustainability, right? So
Yeah.
at 3M internally, you know, we look at that from both an operational standpoint and from a product standpoint. So operationally, you know, I look at things like our Medina, Ohio plant, where the bulk of our North American labels are made, has been landfill free since 2020, right? So we're continuing to look at things like that are driving our sustainability story forward and, you know, ultimately limiting our carbon footprint here in North America wherever possible. So that's been a big one. And then from a product standpoint, you know, we've continued to develop products that are going to successfully interact with our partners' goals for sustainability. So one thing that comes to mind, we had a versatile print top coat that we launched a couple of years back. And that was really designed for a couple of reasons, but one of the biggest ones was interaction with water-based flexo inks. So we're seeing, you know, more of this transition from solvent-based to water-based flexo inks and flexographic printing. And over the course of the next 5 years, that's a trend that I would say that we definitely continue to see accelerating. The cool thing about our versatile print product or versatile print top coat is it allows durability that you would see in a solvent-based flexo ink with a water-based flexo ink. So you don't have to sacrifice, you know, the abrasion resistance that you historically would see, and you can use a product that's more environmentally friendly. You know, we've also seen things like being able to eliminate over laminates because of some top coat innovation that we've had at 3M. So again, that lowering material use, eliminating material waste has been a really, really big focus of our team and, you know, of 3M as a whole. So those are a couple of big things. And then, you know, being able to really define a core go-to product that you can use across multiple different print technologies, because that versatile print product works not just on water-based flexo, but also UV inkjet, you know, screen print, thermal transfer, all sorts of different printing technologies. So again, just eliminating material waste. But
Yeah.
I'd say there are a number of things actions that we're taking to drive sustainability forward, but that's something that we're going to continue to hear about. You know, we're having customers ask us every day around, hey, here's this new sustainability spec or recyclability goal that we have. What is 3M doing to help us with this? What are you doing to adjust your products to fit these goals? And that's something that's not going to slow down.
Yeah, I love that conversation. I don't know if I told you, but we were landfill free. We achieved that, you know, at the end of 2022, and been able to maintain it in 2023. And it's a real honor, right? And a badge to wear there, right? Kind of once you get to that status, you're not interested in losing it. That's for sure. It's interesting. Maybe just really quickly, I'm always intrigued by organizations, you know, like 3M, and your position in the marketplace from a sustainability standpoint. For sure, you get input from the marketplace, but is there a ratio? Like, there's also a decision by 3M to be a market leader in sustainable practices. You know what I mean? And so you're making that decision because that's the company 3M wants to be. Yeah, there's value in the marketplace, and other organizations like Grand Rapids Label who are interested in also being a leader in environmentalism from a converting side. We're going to hitch our wagon to, you know, outputs like 3M. Can you talk about that just for a second, like the decisions of an organization like 3M to say, "Yep, we got to get better at this," versus, "Oh man, the only reason we're getting better at this is because our marketplace is asking for it." Like, does that conversation happen, or am I just being a kind of silly there?
Yeah, I would say I'm not necessarily extremely close to that corporate brand strategy conversation, but I would say broadly, you know, we're seen as a market leader in a lot of the markets that we play in. So when that happens, and when you have a recognizable brand, you know, you're held to a standard that you are driving a lot of these goals forward that are making an Earth a better place, or a better place to live. So from I guess somewhat of an insider outsider perspective, I know that those conversations are going on, and it's something that, you know, obviously trickles down to our business and a lot of our goals, you know, as a business unit.
Yeah, sure. Well, My gosh, right. And again, just a short amount of time, Aaron, a ton of awesome information of, perspective, broad perspective, but also, of course, 3M perspective. And that's the whole point. I hope you've had fun so far. Maybe kind of help us put a bow on it here a little bit, right? We like to close these innovation discussions by saying, hey, if I'm listening and I'm liking what Aaron's saying, wrap it up for me, right? Like, what 2 or 3 things should I be thinking about so I'm in a better place tomorrow than I am today when it comes to my business and how it's connected to, industrial labeling?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest common theme that I can put forward is just communication, right? And that's a three-way communication and dialogue that needs to happen between, for example, a design engineer at an OEM, a sales rep at our channel partners, and then our own internal sales and business team. And just staying close and staying open with that dialogue is critical, not just from a supply standpoint, but also, from a product development standpoint, and making sure that we're putting products forward that are really going to suit our customers' needs for both the short and long term. So the biggest thing that I can put forward is continuing to communicate and continuing to be transparent wherever possible. I think is going to make all of us better for both the short and long term, and set this business up for success.
Yeah, we should package that up, Aaron. We could sell that across more than just label converting, right? That's a good philosophy
100%.
in a number of ways. And yeah, you're right. I mean, it's interesting again that you say that, and I mean that from a point of sincerity, right? Even internally here, right? The last couple of years, boy, if it taught you anything, it taught you to be very clear on what's going on, and if there's a challenge, what the plan is to overcome it, and if there's an opportunity for celebration, to do just that as well, right? Because boy, we're getting continue to get hit in a lot of different ways. Some of them great, and some of them not so much. So can't thank you enough, Aaron, for taking 15, 20 minutes here, packed with good content for the listener. Really appreciate our relationship with 3M. And you guys, you've helped us out a lot lately, and we've got some things planned even on into, as you know, early 2024 with you guys that we're looking forward to. So thank you very, very much.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Bill. Look forward to talking again soon.
You bet. Sounds good.